magic is real.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Whether it be a sunrise, a sunset, a blade of grass, watching a bird fly. Amazing. There is magic in everyday life. And if we open our eyes and we look for the magic and feel for the magic shows itself. This is something kids do so wonderfully. They play. As adults, we get so caught up in our world of work and grinding that we forget to play. And play doesn't have to be some childlike thing. It could be a sport. It could be a martial art. It could be hosting a podcast. Find your version of play and tap back into the magic. Hello and welcome to the Vinny Brusco Show podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about 4 mantras that I used in building my own business. I am by no means an expert when it comes to entrepreneurship, but recently I opened up Agora Social Club, a men's membership-based social club where guys can gather, connect, and unwind with like-minded individuals. And stepping onto the entrepreneurial path, I experienced a gamut of emotions: excitement, joy, happiness, freedom, and potential freedom. But I also felt the others. You know what they are: stress, anxiety, imposter syndrome. These all started to come up as I started stepping on my path towards my own business and stepping outside the norm of what society tells you should do. These are 4 mantras that I've come across that were applicable in my journey. And some of them date back as far as ancient Greece, and some of them are something that we see in movies and pop culture. Click subscribe to the podcast to follow along on the journey of the show as we dive into self-help, human development, and how to navigate this wild and wacky world that we live in.
And here we go.
First mantra that I implemented and realized was from the movie Step Brothers with John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell. If you're familiar with the movie, or if you're not familiar with the movie, John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell play stepbrothers who have outgrown their household and just basically need to grow up. And at the end of the movie, their father, played by Richard Jenkins, tells them a story about when he was a child, he wanted to be a dinosaur more than anything. And eventually his father told him, "You're not a fucking dinosaur," and essentially to grow up. The reason this mantra was so important in the early stages of developing and building my business and going on this entrepreneurial journey is because as kids, we think that anything is possible. Even the idea that we could be a dinosaur, or we could be an astronaut, or we could be a baseball player, or a singer, or an actor, an actress. There's no limit to what we conceive ourselves of capable of doing. We just throw it out there with no apprehension. And somewhere along the lines, we start to limit ourselves. We start to engage with ourselves in a way that has doubt, has imposter syndrome, has these ideas that, well, I can't do that. And it starts to put out that gold within us. It puts out the spark and the fire that sits within inside of ourselves. Which leads me to the second mantra that I experienced in my personal journey in a multitude of ways. Magic is real. We lose the magic somewhere along the lines in life. We all know we do. And this is something that Disney captures so perfectly. And whether it be a blade of grass, a grain of sand, a tree carved against the sky, there is magic in everyday life. And if we open our eyes and we look for the magic and feel for the magic shows itself. And it could be something as simple as seeing a kid smile. But these are all magical moments that we often take for granted. But if you adopt the child's mindset and become more comfortable with having a novice approach to life and a not knowing and throwing yourself out there and putting yourself in a scenario, you will rediscover the magic. This is something kids do so wonderfully. They play, and we forget to play. And play doesn't have to be some childlike thing. It could be a sport. It could be a martial art. It could be a musical instrument. As adults, we get so caught up in our world of work and grinding that we forget to play. It could be hosting a podcast. Find your version of play and tap back into the magic. The third is follow the golden thread. In Greek mythology, there were the three sisters of fate. There was the spinner, the allotter, and the inevitable, which represented death. And essentially the message of this was to live your life and live your fate. Enjoy your fate. Enjoy your life. Amore fate, love your fate, was an old mindset by philosophers that would set the tone of how you should live your life. Now, following the golden thread also dates it back into psychology with Carl Jung. Carl Jung believed that at the end of all of that, there was something called the golden shadow. And the golden shadow was essentially the best of you coming through art and actually through the creation and service of others. So following the golden thread is this pull, this draw, this feeling that comes from inside yourself to guide you towards what you ultimately want to be doing, the best version of yourself in service of others, and a way to navigate through the self-doubt, the depression, the anxiety, the stress. Tapping into the magic leads you to finding and feeling the golden thread. And the fourth and final is from the great movie, one of my favorites, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you're familiar with the movie, you know that Kevin Costner is mowing down his cornfield and building a baseball field. And the day comes where his brother-in-law is standing there with his wife and his daughter and James Earl Jones and tells him the bank is coming to take your house. You're going to lose everything. You need to sign it over. And in that moment, James Earl Jones stands up and gives his famous line, if you build it, they will come. If you step on this path towards something that's bigger than yourself, that's more fulfilling, that's more aspirational than you can even imagine, the results will come. God will reward you. Now, you're going to have your brother-in-law telling you, this is a terrible idea, you need to sell your house, and the people you know are the ones that are going to be doubting you. They're the ones that are going to be pouring water on your fire because of their own limited beliefs. And the people you don't know, the people you barely know, are going to be the ones that see it from an outsider's perspective and they're going to be cheering you on. And they're the ones that are going to be supporting you and telling you, if you build it, they will come. Now, these are just 4 mantras that I started to implement on my journey. When I was coming across all the different emotional feelings and ups and downs, I would default to one of these 4 and think, is this part of the golden thread? Yes, these feelings are going to come up. Yes, they're important that they do come up. You wouldn't be human if you didn't feel any type of self-doubt or imposter syndrome. If you didn't look at yourself in the mirror and say, why me? Why am I doing this? Who am I to start a business? I don't know anything about business. You're absolutely right. You probably don't. I don't, and I didn't. But here we are. So these mantras were super helpful to me on my entrepreneurial journey, on my start to building something that I want to create in the world. So I hope they do the same for you. Revisit them, write them down, see where in your life and on your journey you could apply them to help you navigate the choppy waters. And let me know some mantras that you've used that help you navigate through your own choppy waters on your own journey of life, whether that be entrepreneurial, self-help, or just life in general. That is it. I'll check you guys out next time. Until then, much love. Peace!